Hello from Southern Ontario. So I'm wondering what kind of vehicle it was that was at the Rainbow Bridge. Now, I'll tell you why. Well, first, I've discovered it's been announced that it wasn't a terrorist activity as they first suspected it was. They've identified the couple who were driving the car, knew where they were going, what they were up to, all that stuff. Although I don't think their names have been released. Now, when you look at the footage, the little bit of footage that there is of the incident there, the vehicle is clearly shown. I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, it's stated that it blew up so badly that they, quote, couldn't even find a license plate. And it spread out over, was it 13 or 16 booths? That's a big area. Gasoline, petrol vehicles, if you're across the pond, gasoline and diesel vehicles don't explode like that. They just don't. The evangelists, when people like auto expert John Cardigan from Australia gets talking about how EVs explode, they always harken back to the Ford Pinto from the 70s, which would burst into flames upon being smashed into the rear, a rear impact. Yeah, they burst into flames and people ceased to exist because of it. Ford thought the lawsuits were cheaper than correcting the issue. But they didn't blow up. They didn't explode so bad you can't find a license plate. They burst into flames. That's what internal combustion engines do. EVs and hybrids, which have a lithium-ion battery, they explode. Limited footage I could see, that smoke looks a lot like any EV fire I've seen. Now, before I get to John Cardigan again, Cadigan, whatever his name is, sorry, my apologies, I'm a big fan of the guy. My sister was asking me about it, and I was showing her some footage. And she said, oh, cars don't explode. And I said, no, that's Hollywood stuff. To get them to blow up for movies, they put explosives in them. They don't blow up. EVs do. So now back to John, I guess it's Cadigan. I'm sorry, my apologies. You can find him, auto expert John Cadigan. He tears into the EVs. If you want to know what the gases that come off of those things, the toxic stuff, he talks about it. He's got his chemistry and all that stuff down. Anyways, we're going to need him or someone like him to, take that footage, blow it up, and see what that vehicle is. See if my theory's right that it's an EV. Just to kind of harp on the theme a little more, the Luton car park fire, they tried to claim, I think I probably made a couple of videos about it at the time, they tried to claim it was a diesel vehicle that started the fire. Turned out it was a diesel hybrid. And while the evangelists will argue it, nobody else does. To melt steel and cement, gasoline and diesel doesn't burn hot enough to do that, whereas an EV fire does. So, my initial suspicion, as mentioned in a previous video or two, maybe, I don't know now, an unlikely target for a terrorist act in the first place. It just doesn't, it's not disruptive enough. There's no structural damage to the bridge. So I was proven right in that aspect. Well, no big deal. It was just common sense. And here's another thing. Those EVs, they all go like stink. Way more power than they need. The Tesla and their owners are quite proud of their acceleration figures, 0 to 60, 0 to 100, whatever. Those things go like stink. So they should be able to look at the footage and analyze it and say, well, not say, oh, it's going about 100 miles an hour. No, they should know exactly how fast it was going when it went from A to bomb. A to B. Sorry, couldn't resist. But again, we need someone like John Cardigan. Somebody, one of the, I shouldn't call them anti-EV zealots, just the sane and rational people who have common sense, who know these things are an environmental disaster and lethal by their very existence. Somebody's going to look at that and identify that vehicle. And I'll give you better than even odds. It wasn't a petrol or a diesel vehicle, although it may have been a hybrid. They did say, it's reported, that the only thing they found was did they say motor or engine? I'm going to go with engine. But anyways, we'll see. I'm curious. And if anybody stumbles across anything confirming or denying my theory, let me know. I don't mind being wrong. It doesn't bother me in the least.